But just for reference, Fern did not know the progressions when he interned.
I feel like it's the smelling salts that's got you off here.
I'm so fucked up right now. I literally cannot think. How do you bench with this?
Welcome to the best hour of their day podcast with your hosts, Jason Fernandez.
And me, Jason Ackerman. With more than 20 years in the business,
As both coaches and affiliate owners,
our passion is to help create world-class affiliates
and coaches by building
better boxes. Welcome to
the best hour of your day.
Welcome back. Best hour of their day. Ackerman, Fern, Ogar, Nigel, lots of dogs running around. We are at CrossFit WatchTower. Don't worry if Fern is coughing a lot. He just went through a brutal couplet dealing with altitude. How's that treating you?
I wanted to chalk it up to the altitude, but it's just that I'm not fit. Yeah, that's what it was.
You still beat me. Still beat me.
This is groundbreaking. This is our first adaptive podcast.
Look at us.
All of us are in wheelchairs.
That's what you get when you come to WatchTower wheelchairs. We have a spare one over there too, just sitting around.
Kevin has assured us we cannot tip these things, but
Yeah.
I've had like 200 pounds overhead.
We're gonna try.
So you have to try real hard.
watch the episode with Hammer.
Yep.
We can tip a wheelchair. So, great workout today.
Yeah.
Did you program that?
Yeah. So I do the programming for the gym through WheelWad. So me and Chris Stoutenberg program together, and then we do affiliate programming.
So you guys follow the WheelWad programming here?
Yeah. I mean, I might as well because I program it.
So you do your own programming is what you say, Kevin?
Yes.
I'm splattering
Novel
with
thought.
water.
Novel thought.
We got the matching
Yeah.
Superman. This
Novel
is really
thought.
The gym is named after DC Comics, the WatchTower, which is the home base for
I
the
figured
Justice
as
League.
much, yep.
It's not the Jehovah's Witness monthly newsletter.
Or what about the movie? What? No, that's Watchmen.
Watchmen.
Watchmen,
Yep,
yeah.
totally different.
There's also the song by
But Watchmen is
Hendrix.
DC as well,
Well,
isn't it?
hey,
Watchmen is DC, isn't
Watchmen's
it?
DC.
can we drop a little music knowledge? Marcus, who wrote All Along the Watchtower? No. Robert Zimmerman, a.k.a. Bob Dylan.
I didn't know that.
And then Jimmy took it, completely changed it, which I think a good cover is, right? Otherwise, a cover is just like repeating what the original did. He tweaked it, made it different. And my favorite version, of course, Fern, you know this one? Come on.
Which one? I don't know what we're talking about.
The Dave Matthews Band.
41? Which one?
No, he covers All Along the
Watchtower.
Watchtower.
Yeah,
It's one of my favorites. Yeah, so I'm doing it in Central Park. But, yeah. You'd think you would know a little more about the name of your gym. That's all I'm suggesting.
I mean, I could quote anything you want to about the comic books. I just never.
Who's your favorite comic? Or
Like my-
superhero, I should say.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Is it Superman?
Superman.
Yeah,
Is that...
of course.
That's like very cliche.
It is if you just follow him because he's Superman. My favorite thing about Superman is that he is literally unstoppable and chooses to do the right thing all the time, which shows an extreme amount of self-control and discipline.
But I want to bring something up, and
That's why he's my favorite.
I think we can here at Watchtower. We may get canceled. Superman is what, gender fluid now? Is that true?
No. So his.
I'm
So-
just so you know, I'm very anti everything. Like I'm a white.
There
just
you
in
go.
case you haven't kept up on me recently.
So
I'm
Superman is still Superman. His son
okay.
is bisexual now, apparently.
Bisexual.
Is that a real thing?
It's a real thing. It's this
I mean,
really
is
weird.
bisexuality a real thing? Is that what you're asking?
No,
Because I know
that
you're
it's-
even way off the charts
Yeah,
than I
it's-
am.
It's-
Bisexuality
no,
is a
it's-
real thing. It's when you like men and
No,
women.
that I understand. Is this
Oh, yes.
scenario is a real thing?
Yeah,
okay,
this is
got
a
it.
real
Yeah,
thing.
I'm
So
making this
comic books always do this kind of stuff where they like try to get super like into politics and whatnot and try to like weed their way into everything. And so there's a few things like that. Like there's talks that they're going to switch, like kick Superman and Batman out of the Justice League and have an all-female Justice League, which doesn't make any sense.
Jay, you
But
could be in. You could be in.
So,
You're good.
but okay, so Superman's not bisexual. His son is.
his son
That's
is.
fine.
Yeah.
It's okay.
One of his sons.
Still,
He's got many sons.
he has multiple sons.
I mean, he has a clone, and then depending on which Earth he's on, he has at least one or two.
There's more than one Earth.
Yeah, there's like there's infinite Earth is. Earth is.
Earth is
Earth Eye.
Infinite-
Earth Eye.
Infinite
Yeah, it's like
Earth Eye.
fungus.
Yeah.
How much time do you spend reading comic books?
I spent a lot of time reading comic
But
books.
still?
when I was younger. I still collect them. Yeah,
You collect them or do you actually read them?
I read them. What's the point of having them if you're not gonna read them?
How many do you have to get on a monthly basis?
Oh, I don't get them monthly. I'll like find a series that I want and I'll just read through the
What's
whole
your most
series.
valuable comic book?
I have The Return of Superman from 1996 in the special edition cellophane package back at my parents' house.
How valuable is that?
I don't know. It's probably last time I checked back in the day, it was like a few $100.
Oh, so we're not talking like Superman #1.
No, the most expensive comic books are Spider-Man #1, The Death of Superman.
I remember that.
Batman, then you can get like Batman, Superman #1, but the Spider-Man #1's like $15,000.
Yeah.
Dang.
I remember when Batman came out in like the 90s, like Jack Nicholson, Michael Keaton. I got into the movie.
Yeah.
I got really into the comics, and they had like The Killing Joke, The Death of Bat. I had all of those.
When does the new one come out? Pretty soon, right?
February.
Yeah, I was
There's a new Batman coming out?
Yeah, it's what's his name from the Twilight?
The twinkly guy.
Twilight. I don't watch.
What's Ed?
Robert Pattinson.
Oh, I thought his name was Ed.
Sorry, guys, I don't watch teenage vampire movies. Katie would know that one, I'm sure. You and Katie know who that is.
I think Edward is his name in the movie.
You're correct.
Yeah.
In Batman?
No. In Twilight.
Bruce Wayne.
Keep up.
Bruce Wayne. So, okay.
It's supposed to be really dark. It's almost supposed to be like a horror movie type.
Well, I feel like Batman has gotten progressively more and more dark.
The Joker was good.
I mean, old comic books, it's pretty dark. Like there's a lot of cleaning things up in comic books and then like rebooting them is super aggressive.
Huh.
Hey, before
the original Ninja Turtles used to kill people, cut their heads off, smoke cigarettes, like get drunk. Like that's the original Ninja Turtles.
And then they
were
make
like
them
a
for
biker
children.
gang.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Huh. I want to read that version.
The original Ninja Turtle movie was, and then there was, of course,
legit.
The second one, Vanilla Ice. We were trying to get Katie. So 90s, we're going to go to the 90s. Are you welcome to come? The crew's going to come back out here in June at Red Rocks. Vanilla Ice, Coolio. Who else was on that list?
And the gang?
No, Coolio. Not
and
cool.
The gang.
No,
Coolio
that's Cool and the Gang. Coolio. Who else was on that list, Marcus and Katie? It was Vanilla Ice, Coolio, Young MC, All for One.
Wow.
98 Degrees?
No, there's no boy bands. Okay, before we kick off, before we start talking about CrossFit, what do we got over here?
Oh, yeah. We were going to do this.
So
Let's do this.
We have a powerlifting side of the gym.
I'm
and
interested.
There's a company called Skull Smash out of Missouri, back where I grew up, that makes smelling salts that we use, pre-lifts. So we have two of my favorite here. This is just a giant jar, a 1-pounder of mint smelling salts.
Mint sounds nice.
And then this one is what we call a double barrel because it has 2 of them, and you squeeze it to pull the trigger.
So how many scoops of this do I put in my water?
This will kill COVID right here. If you think you have COVID,
you'll never get it.
So you guys can choose which one you want to use.
I feel like double barrel.
So give it a little shake.
Oh, no. I want to see what happens at Fern before I...
Nope. You're going to pop both of these and then get it to your nose and squeeze.
No, wait.
How bad is this going to be?
And
it's going to be great for us.
I have a serious question because I have like a Jewish nose. Should I take a smaller sniff?
No, take a bigger sniff.
I feel
give it a little shake.
This is RX plus my nose.
All right. I'm a little terrified. What kind of squeeze should I be giving?
Oh. How much? You have a lot of experience with that.
Kevin does this.
I do that all the time.
He does this for fun.
Yep.
Sorry.
Okay, Fern. You go first.
Oh, man. It's got to be quick.
Is it bad? Is it bad?
You didn't even get that close. You're fine.
I didn't have to, but because my left one got it hard.
Yep.
I'm going to try this one. Do I just open it?
Open it and put your nose in.
I haven't done smelling salts in a long time. They used to have like the chlorine.
We have the packs over
little
there.
packets over there.
I'm actually nervous about this.
You'll be fine.
I hope you fall out of that chair.
Okay, ready? Let me bump this up. Dude, that was way worse than I expected. Take a knee. Take a knee. I can take a knee.
It's not that bad.
You didn't take it that hard. Oh, it's coming out my eye. Holy fuck, that was oh man, I was am I bleeding? Am I bleeding for real? Oh shit, that was good though. Now like it just took a second.
All right.
Oh,
let's get this party started.
Whoa. Where can I buy this?
Skullsmash.com, man.
Do you think he'll sponsor the podcast? Maybe.
Maybe. He's a good dude.
Oh man.
If that doesn't get you to subscribe
That
to the
clears
YouTube
you
channel,
up.
yeah, if that doesn't get you to subscribe to the YouTube channel, I don't know what. will.
That kills COVID, I think.
For
That
sure.
definitely
It kills everything, brain cells, everything above.
That's what Trump took, and it got rid of COVID. Oh fuck!
So the bad part
That
about
was quick. It just like
it
shot straight
kills
up.
you.
Yeah.
The bad part about doing that, when you
nose
just
is
bench, all I do is bench. So when you do it in bench, then you
Why?
lay down.
I don't
Sometimes it'll cause nosebleeds.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought my
Go
nose
straight
is
down,
bleeding.
yeah.
Oh yeah, so you start to cough.
No, you just start swallowing blood while you're benching.
That's what I'm saying. So like you start to choke a little bit.
Yeah, it's good for you.
Well, that feels
So it's
good
very
now. But how quickly after you take that hit are you supposed to lift?
I mean, you have
Oh, like within a minute typically.
You have a
It's like
couple minutes.
I
You
thought
like
it's
walk
like
up.
I thought it's like immediate. Like
No, you like walk up. You hit it, walk onto the platform, get your stuff done.
Yeah,
and
you have
move on.
about a minute or 2 minutes to get out there and use it. It's just.
Katie, you want to try it? Katie, do you want to try it on the show? Come on.
It's not that bad.
We can do it afterwards. We can do it when we do the walk around.
Katie really, she's interested. Are you interested? I think I got a little too into. But first of all, your nose is smaller than mine. I think I put my face too close to it.
No,
You
that
did
was,
go in
that
hard.
was perfect.
So you did go in
That was
hard.
RX right
That's
there.
what you want.
You went in hard.
Okay.
Man. All right, we're ready.
Let's talk about CrossFit.
Let's talk about
right.
CrossFit.
So you're part of the seminar staff.
I am.
I really have. I lost all.
no
I
idea
can't-
where you are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have no idea what's happening.
This is Kevin. This is our friend Kevin.
What are you? You're L3.
I'm L3, yeah.
All right, you're on staff.
Yep.
You just led a great class, and that's it. Like great conversation.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go lift.
So we're here at your affiliate, WatchTower.
Yep.
CrossFit WatchTower. How long have you had this affiliate?
We opened October of 2015. So going just over 6 years.
Okay. And then how? So this is right. This is
should've
right
done that
before.
at the end.
This is before seminar staff. So you opened this before.
I actually got on seminar staff.
So they're like
6
right-
months. So March of 2015, I got on seminar staff, and then October of 2015, I opened my affiliate.
Got it. Okay. I knew they were very close, but I didn't know which was first, chicken or the egg. There. Okay.
We've had Kevin on. This was
Right.
probably a couple of years ago, talking about your seminar staff journey.
Yep.
Let's do a little seminar staff story. We were talking about it before the show.
Oh,
Let's not use names of the Flowmaster.
We shall not use names.
The Flowmaster shall not be named. What was the story about this intern? Because you guys worked. I've never worked a seminar with Kevin.
No, I think it's
Okay.
like the only one me and
I think
Fern
it's
have
the
ever
only,
worked with.
Yeah, probably the only one
So
we worked out.
we've talked about Fern's
First time you and I
internship.
ever met actually was at Reebok at the what was it, like the nonprofit?
Yeah, the nonprofit gathering
Yeah, at Reebok.
during like
at
it wasn't
one.
like during the East Coast Classic or something.
Yeah, this was like 2015
15,
probably.
yeah.
Okay. Cool.
You were there?
Yep.
But Fern has a story. When he interned on staff, he didn't know the progressions.
I remember that story.
So we need to clarify this. I knew them. I shit the bed. There's a difference.
Forgot
That's
them.
kind of like the same thing.
There's a difference. No, there's a difference
That's
between
like
I
taking
got
a
nervous.
test and be like, teacher, I knew the answers.
There's a difference between I got nervous and then I literally don't know.
I was
them.
very nervous during this history test. I would have passed.
Completely
otherwise.
different because he knew them and forgot them. And this guy, this intern,
Literally didn't know.
You're saying different than the intern that you're
Yes.
about to. But just for reference, Fern did not know the progressions when he interned.
I feel like it's the smelling salts that's got you off
I'm
here.
so fucked up right now. I literally cannot think. How do you bench with this?
Yeah,
I want to lay down. Let
heavy.
the bench.
So I
bench heavy.
mean, here's the takeaway. The for anybody that wants to intern, you should probably know those.
okay.
if you don't
let's
know the
let's
it's
do
like
a little
rule number one.
push press.
Are you asking me
Oh, you're stalling. He's stalling.
what's the question?
What's the progression?
The
Let's
progression?
run through. We got the three of us here. We'll do.
Right.
Let's go. Let's
dip
go.
and hold, dip drive slow, dip drive fast, dip drive fast.
All right, I'll do push jerk, jump and land with your hands on your side, jump and punch, full movement.
What am I supposed to do?
Sumo
You
deadlift,
go
high
sumo
pull.
deadlift.
Sumo high pull, sumo deadlift, deadlift shrug slow, deadlift shrug fast, full movement.
Let's do the med ball clean together. You go.
Okay, deadlift.
Deadlift shrug.
Pull under. Oh, front squat.
Fired.
Front squat.
He's out. He's out.
I'm fired.
Do we hear that? What is that noise?
I don't know what that is.
Kevin,
Oh, you know what?
we got a sound effect.
We had a sound effect there, but it
Yep.
was actually very timely. Yeah.
Well, it would've
People
been
were
nice
cheering
for-
we were cheering for Kevin's failure.
Yeah.
Front squat.
Then
Pull
Then
under.
shrug and pull under.
And actually,
then
at
full
my
movement.
level 2, which we were talking about, which is why I'm a level 4 now, I did it out of order, the same exact sequence.
I think your eyes are bloodshot now that I look at your face.
This one was a little messed up.
Maybe it's that one.
This one was a little messed up already.
All right.
But I went out of order, and Nicole Carroll was watching me at the level 2.
Oh, God.
But I still passed, obviously. But I remember, like, how did I mess that up?
Was this your 10th one?
Level 2, one time. One time.
I thought your internship, you mean?
No, my internship, that was the 10th time. I did 10 internships. So, tell the story about this guy.
We're at a gig down in Tejas.
Tejas, the land of freedom.
Where's that? Oh, okay.
And we have this intern for the weekend, and it's what, me.
Don't say the name. No, let's not even get
I don't
any
even
further.
remember the guy's
Me and
name.
Fern. I don't know the guy's name. I don't remember. So
No, but the
here's
other staff members.
Okay, so it's me and Fern and a few other people.
Yes.
Here's how.
It's actually a big seminar.
It was.
Yeah.
Also wearing red shirts,
Yes.
these other people.
Yeah. So this is but this is like old school. So there's like 50 some odd participants.
Oh, back in the day, that was so
I think
fun,
So there's
right?
5 of us. 5 of us plus an intern.
Five
so
plus
there's 6 of us.
intern. There's 6. And here's how unremarkable this guy. And like he seemed like a really nice dude, but he was unremarkable in the sense that like he sat behind me for 30 minutes and I had no clue he was there. Like literally, I turned around to go do something. And I was like, "Son of a bitch!"
You've been sitting there this whole time?
Yeah, this whole time just sat behind, like literally, like right behind me. It was weird. So we come into this, come into our like trainers meeting at the beginning of the day.
Meeting.
And we start with an intern by like asking the progressions, and he doesn't know any of them. Doesn't know any of them.
It was
and
bad.
I'm pretty sure his exact words were, "Well, I don't know those progressions, but I came up with some of my own."
Even better.
At which point everybody's like, well, do tell.
Yes,
That's like all of you silently acknowledge, like, this is going to be a good one.
and I have never been more excited and uncomfortable at the same
Yeah.
time.
And by the way, we know who the flow is.
Yeah.
So it's like even
I
probably
see.
the most.
I see the butcher just
Yeah.
sharpening
This
his knives.
flow master, for reference, we'll give the gender. Male flow master. Tough but fair.
Yeah,
But
great guy.
when you're on his good side, he is one of the best human beings on the planet.
Honestly, all you have to
For
do
sure.
is work hard and do your job, and
That's
he's
it.
one of my favorite people to work with.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Kind of like most people on seminar staff.
Yes.
Work hard, do your job.
So this guy, what then happens?
So the
was
flow
bad.
master just
We break
rips-
the meeting immediately.
Breaks the meeting immediately. He's like, well,
Like
what?
not even you haven't gone through
Oh,
the
no.
We
schedule yet.
ended the meeting.
Yeah, he's like, we're gonna go set up the groups, and we're gonna come back, and you better have your shit figured out.
He goes, you had one
And
job to know the progressions. So
And that's in. I've seen interns like I didn't know. It's in the email.
Yeah.
It's in the email.
Oh, I know. That's what Sarah Wilkinson told me numerous times after I
Messed yours up.
Yeah, I was just like,
So-
I know.
So you reconvened.
We reconvened, and he still messes up.
It was bad.
I mean,
The
you have
progression.
like 12 words to learn in a half hour.
I mean,
at
it
that
wasn't like he
point.
needed to know all of them. He
Right.
literally, like, I think the flow master even came back and said, okay, give
just
us
today,
one.
or just
Give us
today's,
one.
right? Just the overheads.
Like, no, just one, any of them.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was a layup, so it was push press, got it wrong. Sumo deadlift high pull. I was like, all right. I was like, did you learn your lesson here? Basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Nope, missed it again. I was like, oh.
I do.
this is
I
not
do
gonna
like
go
to
well.
tell level 2 participants this, like the push press and the sumo deadlift high pull.
It's the same progression.
Yeah, it's the same progression. It's just you're pulling versus
Right.
pushing. So easy there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was comical.
Yeah, and it just continued throughout the entire
Yeah, it got worse.
weekend.
So
It's pretty bad if you don't. That was number 1.
Yeah, he didn't come back.
If you
for
don't come
day
back
two.
after number 1,
Oh yeah,
did he come
after-
back on day 2?
Yeah, he came back on day
he came
two.
back on day 2, but he
I
didn't
don't-
come back for
It's
his second.
very unusual
Did he
not
even
to come
stay?
back.
Did he even stay the whole day on day 2?
Oh,
I thought he went
No,
home
actually, I
early.
think he might have left early. Yeah,
By
Which
choice
I
or
did.
by-
I did legitimately feel bad.
Well,
Like,
I
was just
think
like,
the flow master gave him some feedback on what he needed to do. I don't think he took it well, and I think he left.
Yeah.
I have seen people, whether during or after their first one, realize, hey, this isn't for me. And part of that is,
Which is fine.
I don't want to grow and develop, right? Like I'm already good enough. Who are these people to tell me to get
Well,
I
better?
have seen somebody legitimately at the end of day 1 be, I am not prepared for this. I'm going to opt out.
And I've
I was
seen
like,
that.
oh,
That's
mad respect
insightful.
for that. Yeah, I was like,
Well, and
I'm
like
not even mad at you. However, I still would have stayed and learned something.
Yeah.
That's just my feedback.
Do
Right, you
a
got a free level 1.
coaching a level 1 or level 2 is completely different than I feel like coaching inside your own box.
Very
It's
different.
not like same principles, a lot of same things, but it's a different beast.
There's carryover. It's kind of like I think it's kind of analogous to a general and specific cue. Like a specific cue works generally, but a general cue doesn't work specifically. So like skill sets in a level 1 wearing the red shirt carry over to the affiliate, but coaching in the affiliate doesn't necessarily carry over to coaching in a level 1 environment.
I was coaching for 8 years before I got my first internship. And I thought I was a decent coach. I didn't think I was great, but came in and just had my ass ripped.
Well, yours is even tougher because they documented it.
Filmed all of it.
So first, what's the name of that film again?
Ogar, Will of Steel. If I could go back in time and warn myself about what would happen when I lift that barbell, would I change anything?
Welcome to the CrossFit Games, the ultimate proving grounds for the fittest athletes on Earth. Let's go.
The one and only goal of training was to make it to the games.
I know his intent was to get there.
Kevin Ogar going for 255 pounds now.
I remember Kevin at regionals that year. He was looking great.
Kevin Ogar surprised most observers by setting a new world record on event.
He was beast mode at that point.
And with this lift, Kevin will win the event.
A CrossFit athlete injured during a routine move might never walk again.
He probably wasn't even going to live.
His spinal cord was severed.
He was not going to walk again.
One of the hardest times for me was when I first got out of the hospital. A couple days a week, I would just be like, you know what, I'm not doing anything. I'm just laying around. When I first started trying to like sit up, I literally was like one of those little weeble wobble things that just wanted to fall down at all times.
And what does happen a lot of times is this whole big deep hole with the depression.
His life's going to change completely.
He needs to speak to guys that are in his same situation, and he needs to happen fast. The guy that was in rehab with me killed himself 2 years later.
I think mentally I knew that if I didn't have goals, I was going to have a really rough time recovering from this.
He was going back to CrossFit.
I needed to get back to coaching and training in CrossFit.
His legs aren't what defined him. He's still Kevin.
Why do you want to be on CrossFit staff?
I've been doing CrossFit for 7 years. It's saved my life. It's changed my life.
CrossFit was such a huge part of his life. We all knew that he wanted to share that on a larger level.
Definitely got to practice my coaching.
The red shirts, they are the best trainers in the world.
It's not an easy process. It's pretty ruthless, and you can't mess up.
It was definitely hard to hear you.
You have to be able to take some intense criticism.
Guys, welcome to your level 1 seminar. Kevin is
Joe didn't pull any punches and kind of just laid it out there like, this is what you need to do better.
Sometimes I just had a hard time understanding what you were saying.
How can he effectively coach the participants?
Like, how's he going to demo?
It's kind of an unprecedented thing.
No adaptive athlete has made the team. None has even attempted the internship process.
I think we have some things that we need to develop. I definitely don't think that right now he's ready.
The best way to look like a fool is to tell Kevin he can't do something.
Nothing stands in the way of Kevin. If he wants to do something, he does it.
Kevin usually just doesn't give up.
Last time I did this, and like the person's like, you can't do that. I'm like, well, what are you gonna do? You wanna pull me back up? I guess that's just my whole personality. Is you can't do that. Well, I'm gonna. And we're gonna see what happens.
Where can people watch that?
It's in the journal.
It's in the journal, but it's on Amazon too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can rent it on Amazon.
I watched it. This is
super cool. If you haven't watched it, you should go
old.
watch it. It's like
it's like 90 minutes of me being awkward.
It's very insane.
Carrie, who made the film,
which is accurate,
amazing,
by the way.
But it's 90 minutes of me being awkward because that's who I am.
There's Joe Westerland's in it quite a bit. I think Nicole's in it. Carol.
Joe Gain.
Joe Gain's in there. He was my
one of the flows.
He was my first flow.
Yep.
He was my first flow.
Let's talk about that for a second.
No, sorry, he was my second flow. Curtis was my first flow in Las Vegas.
Curtis is the one that hired me.
Dude, he was he was super nice.
Great. Curtis is great. He's just a scary looking man.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and similar to the other guy like that we were talking about, like once you get to know him, one of the greatest human beings on the planet.
Oh yeah.
So to talk us through that, you were already planning on interning and they said, hey, we want to document it, or was it in reverse order? We were like, let's do a documentary on Kevin. What can we do?
So I had spoken to Castro and Greg at the games that year.
Greg Glassman. We still say his name on this podcast. I know a lot of podcasts don't talk about it.
We say it here all the time. And so they asked me if I would want to give it a shot and try out for level 1 staff. And I said yes.
This was at the games.
This was at the games. And so they set it up. I got my first internship. And like in between them asking me and me saying yes and that setting up of internship, I don't know who it was in media. It may have been Tyson or someone who was like, this was going to be good. Let's document this. And so they asked me if I'd be okay with them filming.
Good for you for rogering up for that.
I'd be like, hell no.
And
I'm so nervous.
What am I going to say? No?
I mean, you could have.
Yeah, that was an option.
Yes, but here's me coming into this company, trying to get on level 1 staff, having like the head of
It's
head of
already
media
stressful,
asking,
and to be on camera, I was just.
Did you think for a second though? Well, let me go back. Did you know how challenging it was to get on staff at that time?
Hell no.
Okay, so you didn't know that because in my mind,
I think everybody has an idea, but it's like anything. You don't know until you get there. And you're like, oh shit.
I had friends who'd gone through the internship
and not made it,
and some friends who'd gone through it and made it.
Who's that?
Like I was pretty good friends with like Shree and Matt, and like I talked
From
to
this
them about
area.
it. Yeah, they talked to
from
them about it a little bit. Like Shree's always kind of been like a mentor in that sense with that kind of stuff. I just knew a lot of people in the community, and so I knew people who had interned and not made it, interned and made it, like Becky Harsh, Courtney Shepard, those guys, and I didn't realize how hard it was, even when they said this is going to be very difficult. But
Like I'm already a good coach. Because I was going to go to the direction of, did you think if they're documenting it, it has to have kind of like a feel-good story at the end,
well, that was
and I get hired?
That was my first question when they asked me. I'm like, guys, there's no guarantee that I'm going to make it on. And I literally, I can't demo, so there's a strike against me for most things. All my cues are going to be visual and verbal and tactile until I learn how to do anything visual for a while.
Right.
I've only been out of the hospital for a year.
So this was that shortly after being at a Craig.
Yeah,
it's called,
like
right?
like a year and a half, I think, is when I started.
Okay.
Out of the hospital. I'm like, there's a lot of strikes against me coming into this. Like, I don't know if you guys want to make this film yet, or like you can videotape it, but don't tell people what you're doing just in case I fail. So
yeah, because that would have been a different movie.
Yeah, well, and I thought I had after my third internship with Westerland. I don't know if he was just testing me to see if and I've never asked him this question, so I don't know.
We've got him on the phone.
Yeah,
call up Joe. Let's call Joe.
Well, I don't know if he was testing me to see how I reacted to bad news or criticism, or if it was his true feedback, and I got a fourth internship anyway. But his suggestion was for me to take some time off and come back and restart the whole process.
Well, I don't think he would have. I think it was probably both. I don't think he's the kind of person that would have said that if he didn't.
Well, and I was going to say that just shows I mean, we love Joe's a close friend, and shows the type of person he is, because I'm sure he was feeling some pressure there. We're making a movie, right?
Right.
And how many people do you think hear that come back? And I heard it twice.
The majority.
And I know coaches, that's kind of the breaking point. And I always remind them, if you're interning for staff and you get that, the alternative is don't come back at all. So, hey, just work on yourself. That, to me, that shows, and Mike G used to say this a lot, we want you here. We just need you to get a little bit better.
Yeah.
Well, and then I got a fourth internship. And actually, there's no film of this because they pulled the camera crew.
Because they weren't sure you're going to make it at that?
Well, they probably realized this isn't really fair, man.
So it was actually because they wanted to see how I acted when I didn't have a camera in my face.
That's true. So the first 3 internships, you're mic'd up the entire time?
Mic'd up the entire time. Camera walking around on, not only on me, on the flow, there's...
Right, so your feedback is actually getting recorded.
They have all my feedback from my internships.
Have you ever seen it?
No.
I would love to get that out of
you would be like, I'm terrible. I'm a terrible coach.
I can't, so I watched...
I'm sorry I kicked you. I know you didn't feel that, but I'm sorry.
Ow.
Who was the fourth flow?
It was Lisa Ray and Michael Ray.
I mean, there's no easy flow.
Yeah, there's definitely no easy flow.
So and for that fourth one, I had Mike Ray shadowing me the entire time as I coached.
Dr. Mike, first of all, he's the head doctor of the games.
The medical staff of the games.
It was down at Verve. It was a great internship. I didn't think. I think I did better on that one than I did on my third one for sure. But I was for sure expecting them to ask me to go back through.
Well, I think everybody gets to that point when you're just kind of this is it. I mean, I'm just going for it, and whatever happens, happens. And I think that's when the true person comes out. I know that was my third one, and I was like, listen, I'm just gonna send it, and if I make it, I make it.
I'd rather fail being me.
Right.
Well,
right.
And if I'm being honest, I am not someone who likes having a camera in his face. I am not the person who needs to be the center of attention.
Can you bring that in a little tighter? Just make it
which is funny to say because I'm on a lot of film and there's been a camera.
I was going to say you might be the most other than maybe Matt Frazier.
I might be, but it's not anything I've ever I actually said no to the movie at first.
This one that we're talking about.
Yeah. Just because it's not something that I generally like to do. And then it was brought to my attention that it would probably be pretty good for the adaptive community, and so all you got to do is pull on one of my heartstrings and you can get me to say yes. So,
well, let's you bring up the adaptive community. What's the most challenging thing that we don't realize about being an adaptive coach? Because I'll be honest, like,
are you talking about like
we just took an hour class
coaching adaptive athletes?
No,
or
coaching,
being a coach
coaching,
and
just
being adaptive.
Just coaching in general.
The latter.
Yeah.
But I was gonna, because I would say, Fern,
So not coaching adaptive athletes, being a coach that is an adaptive athlete.
But before you answer, because we just took your class, and Fern's a straight shooter. I didn't notice a difference. You could have been in a chair. You could have been doing on your hands. It wouldn't have mattered. Like, you coached a good class.
Oh, thanks.
So I don't know. Like, what are we not seeing that is a little bit of a challenge?
I don't demo, obviously.
I did. You know what? I will. Yeah.
That'd have been the feedback, but I don't know if it's legit feedback.
So I don't really demo a lot. I can get other people to demo.
Could have asked me. I would have been fine.
Yeah, and
okay, guys, don't do it like this.
and if we have more complex movements, like we had swings and push-ups today.
Yeah.
And if we had more complex movements, I would get athletes to demo specifically if we're in a larger class. But I have to be incredibly clear with my words. I have to know exactly what I want to say about the movement and how I'm going to say it going into classes or going into coaching. The most difficult thing is that, like, you have a whole, at first, I will say at first, you have a whole category of cueing that's gone.
Right. Visual cues are gone.
Visual cues are gone at first. So I can get visual cues by creating like movements with my arms. So like hip extension, or like, let's lean that torso forward, butt back. Like
You're more like miming them.
You end up miming them, and you get some visual cueing in there, but it's mostly, and even tactile cueing is hard because
you have to get close
enough to do a tactile cue. So it's not as easy, and so you have to have this whole, for me at least, a whole, like, I have notebooks of verbal cues. This is actually a drill that, again, Sheree, who kind of mentored me into my level 1 stuff, asked me to do one time to get better, was to, like, take all the faults for the movements, like that we talk about, the level 1s, level 2s, and write down every single verbal cue I could think of, like bad, good, otherwise, and just, like, get really comfortable knowing why those cues work and what those cues are going to get people to do.
I think also you probably have to be loud, because when we were doing the workout, that was one thing. I was like, you're pretty much stationary. And maybe it's dependent on the workout too. So you just have to be loud because you're always a distance from us.
And like, if we have a big class in here, if we have like 15 people with barbells out, I'm not moving around very easy.
Yeah.
Like I have to pay attention to how people are dropping barbells, where they're bouncing, how I can get through someplace without disrupting someone else's workout, keeping myself safe, keeping them safe. So moving through a class is a little different. So you start, what I start doing is finding like places or focal points where I can see movement for like 4 or 5 people.
Typically, where would those be?
I go front of class. I go by the bikes. I go underneath the rig for a lot of it.
So the perimeter.
Profiles,
perimeter.
I just kind of go out around the perimeter for a lot of it. Kind of go back and forth in the front. If I see something, I'll swing out to one side. If I see something, I swing out to the other side. If it's something I need to get to someone with, I have to actually map out where I'm going to go. So I have to actually pay attention to like where everyone's moving and what they're doing as far as like how far along they're in the workout. So
right. Also, you might think of something and they're going to finish that set by the time you get there. I didn't get any cues today, and I assumed it was because I was just moving so well. Is that accurate?
Yeah, your push-ups look good. You actually touch your chest to the ground. Your swings are as good as your tight shoulders will allow. I don't think cueing you's gonna.
I'll take it.
Getting that torso to the ground just because it's a little bigger than it normally is.
If you had to compare our movements, Fern and myself, who moves better?
Fern.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you just saying that because it's part of the show, or do you believe that?
No, he moves better because he's more flexible.
He's more flexible
overhead than you. Hell yeah.
You're terrible overhead. Just so that we're all on the same page.
Is it because I've got bigger biceps, you think?
Yeah, probably. So when you go overhead, you have a slight hyperextension, not enough that really does anything.
On purpose.
Fern
That's cheating the range of motion a little bit.
Fern doesn't have that.
He's a Division I athlete. Yeah.
I want to go back to something, though, about that movement. And I actually, that strategy that you are utilizing there, I don't think that should be unique to you.
No, and I think that's important.
That is something for everybody to be thinking about.
I don't think anything I do in coaching is unique to me. I think I just have to pay a little more attention to certain parts of it.
Right.
Well, and like you said, you're eliminating for the most part. You could probably do some overhead visual cues, right? But you're eliminating a third of the style of cueing, so you just had to develop verbal, which most people rely on anyway when they're coaching.
And the hardest part for me is pre-injury. I was a visual coach. Most of my cueing was visual because I moved well.
Yeah.
I moved well. I can show you exactly what I wanted you to do, and I knew how I moved. And so I was more visual than I was verbal. And so coming out of injury, it took about a year to get used to coaching again.
Well, there's also the movements aren't even the same anymore, right? So you would be demonstrating a modified version of a lot of those movements. So, and to some degree, unless you have adaptive athletes in the class, the demo isn't even accurate. Not because you're not doing it accurately, but because it's not the movement they're going to do. So like thinking about that kind of stuff.
There was a guy, I think his name was Cody.
Yeah. Cody, yeah.
So he was in a wheelchair. How often is someone in a wheelchair or an adaptive athlete in one of your classes?
Most of our classes.
Yeah. Do you think what came first? Is it just because they know, hey, this guy knows what he's talking about, and it's a good place for me to learn?
It's word of mouth. So I didn't really work with too many adaptive athletes in person. I did a lot more online stuff and talking to people through the first year and a half of injury.
Mm-hmm.
Then when we opened the gym, within the first 2 months, I had a wheelie roll in, and it's I want to train, and we started training him and started building it from there. And we consistently probably most of our classes have at least one adaptive athlete. Not so much all wheelchairs. We do a lot of work with traumatic brain injuries, cerebral palsy, loss of limb, paralysis. All those things come to all of our classes. In fact, the running joke is that we're kind of like Sid's sandbox as a gym. Like from Toy Story, where all the toys are put back together.
The Misfit,
the Misfit toys.
Yeah, I actually have a T-shirt idea that we were supposed to get this year, and I just didn't pull the trigger on it fast enough. Where it says CrossFit WatchTower, and it has the picture from the cover of Rudolph.
Awesome.
And it just says the gym for Misfit toys.
That would be awesome.
I like it. But one thing you did during class was you laid out a seated workout. So you wouldn't do that if there was no one in a wheelchair in class. But when someone comes in, do you already have that in mind, or
So we with WheelWad programming our I guess you could call it shtick, but what we do is actually adaptive programming. So we have affiliate programming where we have the affiliate plan laid out for the day,
which would have been the same exact workout.
But then we have it for upper extremity impairment, lower extremity impairment, seated with hip, seated without hip, quadriplegic, neurological minor, neurological major, visually impaired, short stature, and intellectual disability.
Wow, there's a lot of options.
So
but it's just great programming, period. That was a great classic CrossFit couplet, two simple movements, and it's we
did kettlebell swings and push-ups, just for reference.
21 down to 3, so it was your long one, 84 reps. Fern
21, 18, 15,
came out too.
And so we just have that. It's already planned out. So we can. On SugarWad, you can go in there, and if you have the programming,
you can flip around through
so you can see on here, for the warm up, for the focus, for everything we did today. There's a plan for multiple different impairments, and so we do that for gyms who work with a high population of adaptive athletes. So the thing is, coming in as an adaptive athlete, you remember back in the day when you would click refresh on CrossFit.com 1,000 times over to see what the workout was, 658.
Yep.
So part of the fun of coming in the gym is mentally prepping yourself for the workout and knowing what you're going to do and enjoying that. And for an adaptive athlete to come in and have someone just go, okay, we're just going to throw some shit together and there's no real plan. For one, it's not good programming for them because you could be doing the same thing 6 times in a row because you're not always working with the same coach.
You're thinking about that.
But we're thinking about breadth and depth. We take the the level 2 programming stuff we talk about. We take that and we expand it out into a lot of different areas and track all of it. I track through a variance template that I use to track all of this stuff so we know exactly what all of them are doing. And if they don't have that plan, you're just throwing shit at a whiteboard and hoping that it sticks for them, and it's not the same thing. And then also it's like you didn't even think about them coming into your gym. They're an afterthought. So coming into our gym, every single impairment that would come into our gym or any gym that uses our programming, no matter what your impairment is, you have an RX set for you. You have a plan set for the entire day.
Did you forget to tell me the short stature option for that today?
You're not short stature.
I'm short stature high.
High stature?
Short stature high. If you're 5'3", you're short stature high. And if
That's
you're
just
under,
called. That's
Did
just
you
called.
just make that up?
Yeah, it's
a
called.
couple
being
months ago, I made that up.
It's called being disadvantaged.
So, but I do actually, on that note, I've become a little friendly with a couple of the shorter stature athletes out there,
Yeah.
the Mikey Swooshes,
Yeah.
Sean.
Yeah,
you guys know
Sean Eberly. Yeah,
so Sean
good
was
friend.
texting me the other day. They're upset about what's going on at the games.
Yeah.
Talk to us. I don't really know a little bit, and to me, it's probably not a fair perspective. I was talking to Sean about it, and I was like, we're moving in the right direction. I get that you're frustrated because you've rattled off like 10 different divisions.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand, like, hey, we're still leaving out quite a few of those adaptive communities. But, I mean, the games the first year was 2007. So we're, say, 15 years in. Like, what other sports have included the adaptive community that quickly?
So let's take a look at it in a few different perspectives. One, we are the only division that went from first year in the Open to first year in the games in the same year. The only one.
That's big.
Age group didn't do that. Masters, kids, teens, no other division did that.
I don't even remember what it was like. Then what was it?
It was like 2 or 3 years.
But it was they did the Open.
They did the Open. That's it.
And they can kind of see where they stood amongst their age.
And that was it for
so
3 years.
You just weren't going.
You just weren't going. Like you could win the Open in your age division,
right.
but you weren't going anywhere for like 3 years.
You were just on the leaderboard.
That started in like 2000.
Right, all
2011.
regional years. That was happening then.
2011, 2012 was the first year for I think Masters, and then teens came like 2 or 3 years later, and then they were in the Open for years before they came in. Like you got to understand, Masters and teens have only been in the actual CrossFit Games for what, maybe 5 years.
I was.
Yeah, probably about that. It was in California.
I can't remember. I do remember because
it was the last 2 years in California, so it would be 6 years, correct?
Yeah, that's about right.
Something about that, I'm sure.
Yeah. And so like we're the first division to go from nothing to Open and Games in the same year. So let's give credit where credit's due there, because it's a big job working with adaptive athletes. There's a lot of things you have to consider.
Well, there's just so much
and
to consider.
There's so many things to make it fair. And so like classification, all this other kind of stuff that we have to go through. Now, I was one of the team leads on adaptive this year at the games, helped out with the Open stuff.
You're also a big deal at Wadapalooza.
Yeah, so WheelWad works and does a lot of the...
That's what I was texting him, and I'm like, this motherfucker's not texting me back. And then I was like...
I have a story about Wadapalooza.
I was like, oh, he was at Wadapalooza.
Wadapalooza...
By the way, I got to pee. I think it's the whatever we sniffed, and I'm going to poop from that. So
okay.
I'll be back in a second.
That's a cool story. Yeah.
Right.
Keep going, Kevin.
Okay.
This will be much... You're not bringing the headphones. You're not bringing the headphones with you. Just take them off.
If I don't come back, I'd like to preemptively sue skullsmash.com.
Yeah. So anyway, this is going to be much more educational now that he's gone.
So we have that going for us. We got three divisions in the game. The 3 divisions last year had the highest.
Those 3 divisions are?
Upper extremity impairment, lower extremity impairment, and neurological.
Okay.
They had the 3 biggest registrations. They just did. They all had over 100 registrants, like most of the divisions. Like short stature, I love them to death. Like Mikey and Sean are great. I think they had like 30 people sign up.
Were they looking for a number in order to create a division?
Just enough.
Okay.
Just enough to like make it to where we come to the games. Because if we only, I think we had less than 30. Because if we would have taken short stature last year, everyone would have podiumed that we brought. Because there was only 3 and 3, I think.
Right.
So not really competition at that point.
Right.
And so going into this year, like having worked on the back end, having seen how everything works with the games, how tightly scheduled it is, and like you do judging, it's like it's nose to tail the entire weekend.
Yeah, there's no downtime.
There's no downtime for anyone. And being a seated athlete myself, like let's put this in perspective. No one's been trying to make it in the adaptive world to the games longer than I have.
Correct.
This is now going on I started in 2007, so 15 years of me training CrossFit and hoping to go to the games.
Right.
But originally
standing, yes.
Yeah.
But still, like 15 years of like wanting to be there. Like,
were you training back in 2007?
Yeah.
To go to the games?
I started training CrossFit and found out about it.
You could just sign up back then. You should have just went online.
I was a poor broke kid from Missouri, man. There's no way I could have made it.
Guess you didn't want it, Kevin.
Guess I didn't want to go into
free,
debt.
to be honest. All you had to do was sign up.
So like
it was just that 1 year.
Training that stuff. So anyway, so I've been doing this for a long time. There's no one in the seated world that wants to get there, probably more than I do. Like I've been chasing this for a while. There's not space to do it right. Period. And the people in the adaptive
When you
world,
say space, I'm assuming you're meaning like in the timeline, not
in the
physical
timeline.
space. Yeah.
In the timeline. Like
there's just
physical space is fine, but the timeline just nose to tail. It's too tight.
Physical space is relative to I'm going to throw something else in there. Judges have to be aware of what judging looks like for each of those divisions.
So it's a long undertaking, and to ask to go from 0 to 100 in 2 years is ridiculous. And I love those guys, and I love the adaptive world, but complaining about it when you've never actually done the back end work to see what it looks like.
And in fairness, somebody needs to be pushing that forward.
100%.
Sean's and Mikey's like, keep doing what you're doing, do it in the right way from the right place, and it will get there. But somebody's got to be that squeaky wheel, or else it does stop.
It has to come with understanding.
Right.
And when they ask questions outside of understanding and aren't willing to listen to someone who understands, that's when it becomes a problem, which I'll give Sean and Mikey credit. Every single time I've talked to them about this, they've been like, okay, I see that now. And they've been willing to listen. But to be perfectly honest, like, if we were to jam the rest of the divisions in the games right now, we would be a freak show. It would not be a test of fitness. It would be a handout, a give me a like, okay, we're going to do this for you guys because we feel bad for you, cripples. It would not be a test of fitness because we wouldn't have time to actually test that out.
Well, it's just because of the nature of the injuries, it's not clean, right? It's not like you can put people in like age groups. If you're either in this age group or you're not, where a lot of these injuries they're all very different, and it becomes, there's an aspect of it's not fair.
And we're still finalizing classification to see who can and can't compete in the Open at the games. Like let us get there first. Like, we're not like we have that a little bit, but we're not 100% there. Give us a few years. Mm-hmm. Give us this, and this is what bugs me sometimes about the adaptive world. They are given things because of their disabilities sometimes that they never earned, and sometimes, not all the time, so I don't want to get hate for this, sometimes it becomes expected that people give them things because they're cripples.
I hear what you're saying. I mean, I don't want to say anything because I'm already on the verge of being canceled, but I can understand the direction you're coming from.
If it took age groups and like masters 3 or 4 years to get into the games from the Open, after that timeline, then start getting upset.
In fairness, masters complain just as much. I don't know that it's unique to those with a disability, or if it's just those that aren't good enough to make it as the elite, the individuals. Well, and now all of a sudden,
here's the difference, because Masters is not a permanent disability; it's an age category, and so there's a little difference there. There are things that are outside of adaptive athletes' controls that prevent us from being as good as we could. Mm-hmm. And we do things that I would say are more impressive than any standing athlete could probably do. Like Agreed. Logan Aldridge's one-arm 225 clean and jerk.
Yeah, that's crazy. Shout out to Logan working for Peloton these days, huh? That's pretty good.
Yeah,
he's like dope. The first adaptive.
Bittersweet, man. Bittersweet.
Why, because he's gone?
Because I don't get to work with him anymore. He's a close friend of mine.
This is where you're supposed to have like an abundance mentality, Kevin, and be proud of your friend. I know you're not a positive person, but that's a positive.
I'm super pumped for him. It's a great opportunity for him, but I don't get to hang out with my friend. So there's that.
No, I get it.
And he's a great coach.
He was on Ellen, wasn't he on Ellen?
I have no clue.
I mean, that's legit. I mean, just 225. Did he jerk that?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
Fucking crazy.
That doesn't make sense.
We'll get Logan on the show. He's been on the show, but we'll get him live. That's insane.
So we can do impressive stuff. These guys are athletes for sure.
I couldn't do the bottoms up kettlebell press with 35 pounds.
But nobody's shocked by that.
Yeah.
But he jerked 225.
There's a lot to learn there, but we just don't have.
Insert that clip of me. This is heavy, Nate. Heavier than Fern, that is. Here we go, bottoms up. Let's see, left side, weak side.
Am I allowed to brace myself?
Absolutely.
Count it. Yeah. Count it. 4 range of motion.
It's no rep.
Count it.
The system's in place yet, and it's going to take us a few years.
How long is it going to take?
I say give us 2 or 3 years.
That's fair. That's like nothing. I thought you'd say 10 years.
No, give us 2 or 3. Alex Zerkenbach is working really hard on it. Like Chris Stoutenberg has, we and like team at WheelWad and me and the team at ATA have worked our asses off over the last 7 years to find qualifications to write these things down. It's the same. I will never compare myself to what Greg Glassman did, because he started one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me in my life. But let's all be honest here. Greg didn't reinvent the wheel. He just took information out there and defined it and gave it parameters. And that's what we're trying to do the adaptive world. They're look at the parameters that even the Paralympics have. They're bullshit.
He also was working on this for decades before we found it in 2001. And, you know,
we can piggyback off of him, so we don't have to reinvent anything. But we have to define all these terms. We have to define these impairments. We have to define these categories, and it's not an overnight situation.
Where do you think it rounds out, like divisions, like where you're like, this is fair, and I think we don't need to go past this. Anything past this is too much.
I think right now we have 11 divisions.
You have 11.
Yeah.
And you think you need more?
There's not a need for more at this. So we added
short stature high would be 12.
We add a division when we have enough of a population that warrants their own division.
Got it. Okay. So it's kind of like adding a class in your gym. You're just like, if there's a demand for it, we'll
short
put it in.
stature wasn't its own division until maybe a year or two ago.
Because there just wasn't enough.
There was Mikey. There was Mikey and Sean. That was it.
And for the record, how many of those 11 are not represented in the open
3.
game? So 8 are, or 3. So which ones aren't? Short stature's one?
Short stature's in there. The ones we don't have, we don't split upper. So in like wheel wad competitions, we have upper above elbow and upper below elbow impairments.
That's right. Yeah.
We classify by joint.
Well, you're at a different category, period. But you have full use of your arm.
So someone who has an impairment below their elbow is like a BE. Someone who has an impairment above the elbow, like Logan, would be an AE.
Right.
Because your arms are so big, is that almost an impairment?
Sometimes. Like trying to scratch
You literally have 24-inch pythons. Like, you're literally Hulk Hogan.
They're 19.
19.
I love that you know that, though.
And so, like, upper and lower get split. So there's lower above knee, lower below knee, because like having Logan, who's a high in the shoulder amputation, compete with someone like Casey Ackery. Like, we can do it, and we can make it as fair as we can.
What's his injury?
Casey Ackery is a below elbow, so he has the majority, like half of his forearm.
So like, where, for someone who doesn't know any better, where would that be helpful against Logan? Because you don't have a hand to grip the bar.
So say like Logan's doing pull-ups. Logan needs a band underneath his armpit to do pull-ups. He does his clean jerks one-armed. He does a lot of stuff single-handed. He doesn't have the aid of the other arm. Even like picking up a sandbag, he doesn't have any residual limb to pick it up.
It helps.
So anytime you eliminate a joint, you create a massively different impairment.
So it's really about the elbow joint, not how long.
It's physics, man. It's how long is the residual limb?
All right. You're talking to Fern and Ackerman here.
How long is
good coaches? No one's ever called us physicists. That.
So
I don't know where you're going with that.
So leverage. How much of your residual limb do you have? Like, that really matters. So the only ones we really don't have is breaking up upper into above and below elbow, breaking up lower into above and below knee. And I think
so. That's 2 then.
Well, because I mean, everybody should take the adaptive course, by the way. But then, when you start specifically when you're talking about lower extremities, once you start talking about above or below knee, now you have significant differends in the ability to squat, right? Just because of the mechanics,
also
range of motion,
hip extension, probably at some point, right?
It's just a very, very different once you're like somebody who might have a prosthetic that's above the knee versus below. Like
the only other one I don't think we have in the open is visual. Like visual impairments.
So Sean,
oddly enough, I think that you would have a ton of people that would want to do that.
Yeah, it's really hard to classify. How do you have someone who's completely blind compete against someone who has some vision?
Oh, that's a good point.
You have to have like a guide.
I mean, we do. We do it for wheel wad competitions.
Have you guys ever done a seminar with somebody who's blind?
I have. I did the seminar.
Oh,
the dude that was. Were we at the same seminar?
No, but I know what you're talking about.
He was blown up. They did a whole journal article about him. Like, no, he had to. During the this is a funny story. So during the test, he had to touch one of us.
Right.
And he was like, I bonded with him. He was touching me. He's like, hey, can I have Jenny instead? And I was like, I think that's why they gave you me, dude.
Smart man.
I had Brad Snyder, who's he's a couple years behind me at the Nail Academy, but he was an EOD guy. Took shrapnel to the face. He's blind, but he's a Paralympic swimmer.
Yeah.
And I did his level 1, and we had the same thing in the test. It was me and Greg Martino. Yeah, and that's a very different level of interaction with regard to like you really start paying attention to like the words you're using and stuff like that. You have to paint a very clear picture, as you were stating earlier.
A mic and all that during the lectures. So to be clear, Mikey and Sean are able to. They're just kind of voicing their opinion about the adaptive community as a whole, not specifically for them. But that's admirable. That they're standing up for their community.
I'm not, like, let me be very clear. I'm not upset with them.
Yeah.
I'm not upset with them. I get why they're upset. I want the adaptive community as a whole. They're just two of the ones that we've talked about. I want the adaptive community as a whole.
Because they're friends, they're reaching out to us.
I want them to. I want the whole adaptive community to chill out. Because what's really funny is that like they're like, why don't they just bring in the people who run the wheel watch stuff? And I'm like, hi, hello, that's me.
You're like the wolf for the adaptive community. Hey, chill. The wolf is here. Yeah. Ogar's here.
Well,
I got
and
this.
like to think that I'm not
chill, honey.
I think part of it is they don't think they have anyone.
Tell that bitch to chill.
I don't think they have someone on the inside like advocating for him, but they very much so do. Like Alec is advocating for him. I'm on the inside and advocating for him. And
we are. Like we all want to see it happen.
We're pushing towards this. Like people want this to happen. It's just I think sometimes they want like it's the typical American right now. They want things and they want it now, and they don't understand how it's why. Like the big one is like why don't they have a scale division on a leaderboard, and then you go and look at the coding and realize that putting a scale division for each one of the other division adds 16 divisions.
It's a lot. Yeah. I think there's just a lack of understanding, and it's just once you kind of let somebody let them peek behind the curtain, they're like, oh, never mind.
And if they asked, they would find out that like even last year we understood there wasn't going to be a scale division, so we wrote the programming to allow as many people to compete. And let's put it this way.
There's a scaled adaptive is what people are asking for. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. There's adaptive, which is the RX, and then there's scaled adaptive.
Okay.
Yeah, and so like we wrote the programming specifically. So if you're a scaled athlete last year, we had out of I think right around 1,000 people signed up for the Adaptive Open.
That's awesome.
That was great. All right, out of those 1,000, I think there was only a handful that could not perform the movements. And that was on purpose. Like, think about the regular Open. How many movements are programmed in the Open that people are like, well, shit, I can't do that?
Double unders, muscle ups, yeah.
Handful towards the end.
We wanted to make it inclusive, and that's what I mean. Like, people have this emotional reaction where, like, oh, they're horrible, and they're not doing scaled, and I'm going to bitch about it, and they're not letting us in here. If they would just take the time to, like, ask a question, or, like, I'm not hard to get a hold of, I don't think.
Well, you didn't return my text.
Well, I was brought up with a different story. But if they would just take the time to ask the questions like, hey, why? Instead of like having this giant emotional reaction and immediately going to social media. Why is that the place that we always immediately go? It's like, I'm going to go bitch about social media.
It's low-hanging fruit.
So, I mean, I'll do what I do and I'll play devil's advocate. So
you?
Yeah, I don't know.
This is unusual.
It's weird. But so how could we, so like you, us.
No, don't include me. I don't want any more work.
True.
I'm good.
Me and you. Mm-hmm. What could we do to put more information out there, right? So like the same thing in the box, right? If somebody's bitching, it's largely because I've not done as much as I could have potentially to educate them on what was going on.
There's also the who's everyone mentality.
That too, right?
I mean, honestly, I could probably be better at social media and putting those things out there, but I try to tend to be pretty hush-hush about like everything that we do within CrossFit because A, again, don't like to be the center of attention, and B, I hate social media, and I'm not good at it. But if we put more information out there like that, like, hey, guys, here's what it's looking like, here's what's going. But the hard part about that is like, how do you say that about the open program? You can't say, hey, guys, here are the movements. Or, hey, guys,
I'm going to get you an iPad.
Right.
I've got a whole new thing you can do for social media. Get you an iPad, you take a picture with it.
Yeah.
It'll blow up. Yeah. It'll be huge.
You'll be an influencer one day. But I just think just like putting content out there, just communicating a little bit more.
Well, I think stuff like this, like people who, like, a lot of the adaptive community watches the show.
And to be
and they can see it, and they're probably going to get upset with me. I've had a lot of people get upset with me.
It's fine.
I brought it up to blame me, cancel Ackerman.
Oh, I don't. What the adaptive community knows more than anything is that I don't give a shit.
But I think also without these conversations and somebody looking like the bad guy, it doesn't advance it forward. So, and I also want to say, like, at some point, fill us in here, Castro's programming, there's enough going on. Hey, we need to do this. And does he just, like, reach out to you and he's like, hey, I need you to come up? Because this is like, it's not, back in the day, it was kind of like third party almost. Yeah. And now it's part of CrossFit. So, and that's you, right?
So, yeah, I mean, the third party was us.
But it was like more like you go to this site
so
and you could do the adaptive open.
We had the wheel wide open.
But now it's part of the CrossFit Games Open.
Yeah, so we got on a call. Castro and Justin Berg asked for a call with us some point in time before like 2000, would have been 19, whatever it was. Anyway, and they asked like, what would it take to make this happen? Like they want it. Like it's not like they don't want it.
Yeah,
it's hard.
It's hard. And it's
Dave is smart. Like I know he's not involved right now, but he was also smart enough logistically to see like, I want to get this going, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah, to say that. All right, the main argument is like, well, WheelWad does this really well in their own competitions. Like, yeah, we don't have to worry about any other division. It's just the adaptive division.
And you're making up the workouts.
And we're making up the workouts, and we plan for all this kind of stuff instead of like us working into the games, which is what it has to be because they came first.
Do you know who this lady is sitting here?
This is my beautiful wife, Shannon, fittest neuromuscular athlete in the world.
CrossFit Games champion.
CrossFit Games champion.
Look at her.
Waterpalooza champion, WheelWad champion.
She get like a championship.
Is that a trifecta? Is that like the in the WWE you were the tag team champ, the Intercontinental?
Yep. So she's won Waterpalooza.
She's got the Grand Slam.
She won WheelWad, and she won CrossFit Games all within like a year and a half span.
Look at you. Okay. Most decorated adaptive athlete?
No.
Okay.
Who's better?
Casey Ackery.
Ooh. Okay.
Winningest Ogar.
That's the only thing that matters.
Yeah.
Fittest Ogar, best looking Ogar, funniest Ogar, whatever you want to say. She's just generally better. What you really try to do when you get married, as you guys know, is outkick the hell out of your coverage.
Marcus and I were talking about that on the ride here today.
Marry up.
Like if any of our wives figured out how shitty we actually are, we would be screwed.
That's what we literally were just saying the same thing today.
Yeah.
I said, this is how I know we are good in the world because we are all married to women significantly better than us. Based on looks alone, especially. Like, I'm the best. Like, if you go simply by looks, not that, I mean, I find Roz attractive, as is, these two, their wives, but I'm not attractive. So Agreed. I have the biggest discrepancy.
We can all agree on this.
I mean, Jess is looking good. You might be beating me these days.
I'm a little, you keep bringing this up. We need to talk about it.
Your wife is attractive.
Yeah, that's why I
Would you be more upset if I said she wasn't?
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
You're in a pickle now. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's out of my league. Don't worry about it.
For sure. Yeah, in many ways. So moving forward, right? So like communication, and I want to talk a little bit about the adaptive training course, and then a little bit of what you guys got going on in WheelWad. But how long is that course? How long has ATA been online? 3 years.
We started 2018.
But are you part of ATA?
Yeah.
With Alec? Mm-hmm. So you're one of the only that are both ATA and WheelWad. Yeah.
So Alex.
That's like you're in the Justice League.
I think.
Listen, Marvel.
You need to slow down.
MCU.
The smelling salts have got you way too hyped up.
So
you need to just.
I'm gonna go run a 5K. I'll be right back.
Alec got tapped to start writing the adaptive course in I think 2018, early 2018.
Great job with that course, by the way.
Thanks. So he does a lot of the organization. Mostly, it's just like he takes the word vomit that comes out of my mouth for like seated stuff, and Stouty's mouth and Logan's like.
It's very well organized.
Find some way to compile it.
It's very well put together.
He did a very good job compiling it. Like he's very good at like fine tuning things, which is great. So he approached me in 2018. I think September 2018. No, before that, because we did our first course in September 2018. To ask him to help start writing like the seated stuff and anything else, and so we started writing that together. Mostly him. Mostly just my input, and then he did a lot. And then we started just finding experts like Logan and Stouty and Kristen Arnold and Will Wright and like a whole bunch of other people that came in to like help provide content on it and like really give their expertise. And we've built it over the last few years.
So somebody that's, doesn't have adaptive athletes in their gym, they're like, why would I take that course?
Because everyone's going to be some form of impaired at some point in time, whether it be a temporary impairment, like a surgery or something, or a permanent impairment, like something like myself. You're going to have to use these tools and principles across the board. Like our athletes have no excuse to not come in, period, whether you're injured or not. It goes back to that Greg Glassman article where he talks about like training through injuries. Like, gosh, I can't remember. I think it's like training wounded athletes or something like that. It's a journal article from way back when where he talks about like people shouldn't stop training just because they have an injury. You have to be a better coach to work around it. Well, every gym has injuries, period. Like nothing's completely safe. And so being able to work around it, like we have athletes who have had major injuries that have been able to train through all of them because we know the adaptive principles that we've set.
That's where I would say over the years, we still have shortcomings. And when I say we, I mean CrossFit Rife. We still have shortcomings in this because it's not uncommon. So people don't get injured in the gym very often. I mean, it happens very, very
usually
rare.
Outside the gym.
And then they come in. But it's not an uncommon story to have not seen somebody for a while, and you finally get a hold of them, and they're like, "Oh, I hurt my ankle or my wrist or whatever." And every time that happens, I'm like, we have failed in this endeavor to communicate with them that it doesn't matter. Like, insert whatever injury you want. It's irrelevant. Well, like, you can come in and train.
Because had they done that, they would still make progress towards fitness, but they would also heal faster.
They would have recovered faster, yeah.
And so, I mean, that's a big part of it. But like,
So it's education.
That's my point, and that's the breakdown
There's a
in
disconnect
affiliates.
at the affiliate
and it's
level.
one of
for
the
sure.
things that I think is so magical at CrossFit is that it's truly one of the few places that is all-inclusive. No one cares if you're fat, if you're out of shape, if you're black, if you're white, if you're this religion or that
Agreed.
religion. No one gives a shit as long as you come in and work hard.
Right.
I feel like there's still like people don't like the Jews.
No, they just don't like you.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
They don't like this
Break the
Jew.
category.
Yeah,
Break
yeah.
the category.
No, but case
You have
in
your own
point, that
division.
dude Cody was in
Yeah.
class. It didn't cross my mind that he was. Yeah.
And so the thing is, if you want to make your gym truly that inclusive, if you wanted to make it to where no matter what comes in your door, crawls, walks, rolls into your door, you have to know how to not just react to them, but prepare for them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the big thing about
difference.
the course.
It's proactive versus reactive.
Yeah, you can't just like, oh shit, here's a guy in a wheelchair. What do I do?
Right.
And just guess.
Well, there's a lot of the other things that, so a lot we get real wrapped around the axle on, pun intended, around the actual training, but then there's access to the facility, the restrooms. There's all these other things that we don't think about because
floor
we
plan
never
and
had
workout.
right.
Like imagine if we had 2 or 3 more wheelies. And the workout you guys just did.
It would change dramatically.
Changed dramatically how I had you guys set up. We only had like 5 people in class, so like we have plenty of space so you guys can kind of go where you want to. But like we'll have a class, like our 4:30 class will have 12 to 13 people in it, 3 or 4 of them in wheelchairs.
Wow.
And so like we have to, my coach is here, and I give my coaches all the credit here because they're very, very good at what they do. Come up with these floor plans and know what they're doing and know where they're going to put them and know how to keep people safe and make it feel like this was already planned and purpose for you and not a reaction to you coming in.
Can I give you a business opportunity here?
Yeah.
And I think you'd be into it. You should open up for like 2 or 3 days here, like Fern does for the coaches development, to get actual time under tension coaching adaptive athletes. Like, hey, pay WatchTower, do with the money what you want, give it to the adaptive.
Like an immersion.
But yeah, there should be, because otherwise it's like this course is great in theory, but how do I get a practical application of it? Show up here. I mean, you're in Denver. It's a great area.
Well, the whole
there's a Chick-fil-A down the
purpose
road.
behind that is like, again, none of the concepts that you've brought up are unique to coaching, coaching, right? Like we should be doing those anyway. They're just more important in this environment because
putting it into real world.
Because they become more problematic.
And what I say is like, there's nothing that you need past your level 1 or level 2 to start coaching adaptive athletes. Period.
Yeah, you should be able to do it after your level 1.
All the information is there.
But would you allow people to come here and do that?
Oh yeah, I mean, we have people who I just talked to at Wadapalooza who are going to come here and train for a few weeks to learn how to coach and learn how to train other athletes. I mean, I'll do that all the time.
You should become the hub for that.
Here's the problem, Ackerman, and here's where like you guys are going to get upset. I am a horrible business owner.
Trune.
Me and you have had conversations before. I am dog shit at the business.
Have you heard of Affiliate U?
Yeah,
we could
probably help you out with that.
So I make business decisions based on what I think is best for my community and for
that's where you should. That's where you should start.
Everyone else around me, even if it makes my life harder. And so I don't like our adaptive athletes don't pay a full membership. They have to pay thousands of dollars in other equipment every single year. And so I'm not.
That's things we don't even consider. Like I wouldn't have thought about that.
Thousands of dollars in medical stuff. So you're just not going to pay the same.
We tell you not
price
to discount membership, so we can talk about that, right, Fern?
Well, but this is, but again, this scenario is not unique to you either.
Yeah.
So again, we want to make decisions that, as business owners, like forget whatever your business is. I want to make them value based. So I want to offer the best value, and then I need to find whatever the market will bear, right? With regard to like what's my overhead, all of those things, and then in order to pay the staff and do all those things. And you can find that happy medium. It doesn't have to be like $1 billion, and it doesn't have to be free. I could find something in the middle.
Yep, and you're talking to someone who's bad at it because I do a lot of stuff. Like, so when I opened this gym, one of my main goals was to make this a place for people who actually needed it. I don't want games athletes. I don't want regional athletes. I don't want people who
Fern's a regional athlete.
Yeah, I know. So is I.
He worked out here.
So I don't. That's not the people that I want to cater to. I want the people who need it. So like we work with.
I felt that
athletes.
vibe coming from you today, like that I wasn't welcome.
Yeah, get out.
You're too good.
We work a lot with like Phoenix. We run Phoenix classes for them.
Yeah.
We work with the VA and we run classes for disabled vets and veterans who go into the VA. We work with. We're working with like. Starting to try to work with expanding horizons for kids who are getting out of juvenile detention. So we want to bring in everyone that could really benefit from fitness, not just the people who are already good and can hit muscle ups.
I wonder if some of the new APN partnerships that are out there with regard to, or have you looked into the Optum offer?
Yeah, actually, we're getting you signed up for that.
Okay, so there's definitely a lot of hidden roadblocks and speed bumps in there. However, but that could be something that allows to offset some of that cost, and then
and my big
bring
thing
some
there
of those
is
people
that
in.
the adaptive athletes here could then get a free membership.
Correct, right. So that's where I was going with that.
Yeah.
Is like let's solve the end user's problem, which is finance or whatever. That could be a step in the right direction. However, there's a lot to be worked out there.
Would be a massive bump for us financially for the gym. Like we're not like my gym's fine. Like we're doing good. Like we're stable. We have coaches. I'm not worried about shutting the doors or like turning the lights off.
Right, but somebody with your expertise, we want to set you up to where like they're. Like fine is not good enough, right? So like if you were training, fine is not the goal. Thrive is the goal because you have a lot to offer, not because there's like, hey, we want to make Kevin super successful, because like Kevin has a lot to offer and people need what Kevin has. So let's find that scenario, dial that up and make it work.
I mean, I like the business. I like the business idea. I'd be willing. Anyone that wants to come and like look at how we train adaptive athletes. Look at
how about this? We'll help you set it up.
We'll put Kevin's phone number right here, Nate, right now. Kevin's phone number
8675309.
But I will say this, but before, we understand, Fern and I, when we work with affiliates, the impact they have. Like you are changing people's lives. You are doing even more than that for these guys, Kevin. You good? You got to go?
No, my wife was asking me where my keys are.
Think about Cody or some of the other people. Like you are, CrossFit in general changes lives, but you're giving people some hope back too, where they're like, I can never be active again. Like, nope, you're here at WatchTower.
Yeah.
You can work out.
So Cassidy and I were talking about this, and this is so Cassidy, Cassidy.
Yeah, I'm working with them this weekend.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
I do have
Atlanta.
Oh, cool.
I want to bring, before we wrap up.
Before we go there, hold on.
Yeah.
But so his brother's in a wheelchair, and he was, and one of the things he had a bad motorcycle accident. But that's why the adaptive stuff is important to him. But but one of the things that I realized was that transfer drill, from the floor to it's hard. And like giving we're talking about real world application here, is like from the floor back into your chair.
So we had a girl at the last wheel walk game. She's in a wheelchair. I think she's a T7, T8. So like bottom rib cage. Lost some of her abs. I'm probably wrong. She'll probably correct me next time I see her. But like she got into this stuff like a year ago ish, maybe a year or two ago, and she's been in a wheelchair for I think 15 years or so, 10, 15 years, somewhere in there. And had never had anyone teach her or show her how to do a floor transfer. You know, think about that. Like the independence there of like, if I fall out of my chair, which happens all the time, like I fall out more than I care to admit, and to not be able to get back in my chair and have to wait for someone to pick me up and put me back in my chair, that would be unacceptable to me.
Who's picking you up?
No one. That's why I have to do it myself.
I was gonna say, I can't pick you up.
Actually, that's not true. My wife can pick me up. She's
stronger.
very strong.
She's stronger than me. Yeah.
And so, like, she came to the wheel walk game. She qualified for the wheel walk game. She was competing, and one of the movements we had to do, she had to do a floor transfer. And she goes, Kevin, I've never done a floor transfer before. And I go, tough shit. Like, this is it. Like,
now's your time.
You have 15 minutes to figure it out.
That's funny. That's like very analogous to 2009 when Annie Thor's daughter hadn't done a muscle up. Right? So it's like,
figure it out.
We're just seeing it advance the game.
So she does not just one, but I think 2 or 3 floor transfers. And like cries, because like this is independence we're talking about.
Right.
This is the elimination of fear of the real world. It doesn't just mean that she's fitter. It means that she can go out without people and not have to worry about it. She can go to the store. She can go to a movie. She can go travel, and she can do whatever the hell she wants like anyone else. We've just given her 30% of her life back.
Well, this goes back to the whole, their inability to do so exactly describes their need.
Yeah.
Right? Like if they can't do it, that is exactly what they should be doing.
And the worst part, and like if you're a medical person and you're listening to this show, thank you for what you do, but do better, because the simple fact that I work at Craig Hospital a lot, and I work with a lot of adaptive athletes, and the number of people that have come through my gym or crossed my path that have been told that they shouldn't do this and they can't do this and they'll never do this and the no, you can't. For simple things that are just day-to-day livelihood needs, it is disgusting. And what they're doing is that they're doing bare minimum to get them back on their feet and then covering their own ass. They are more concerned with covering their ass and their profession than they are about the quality of life that they're taking away from the person they're treating. And that's not all doctors, and I get the system is flawed and they can't do everything, but give me a break with some of this stuff. I literally had a doctor and a therapist tell me one time that I only have so many transfers in and out of my chair left in my life. It's like an hourglass, and once they're gone, they're gone.
Where are you at in that? Are you almost up?
I think I should be. Shit, I did a workout like last week that had 30 floor transfers.
Let's test it full.
But like that'd be the equivalent of me walking up to someone who has their legs and go, hey, you can only sit down and stand up from the couch so many more times in the rest of your life, so just stay down.
I was going to say, like, everything you're saying, I believe, and it's true, but it's really just an extension of CrossFit. Like,
right.
Yeah. And I think that's where box owners fail. Like, you know, we get on calls and it's like, we're charging $95, we're charging $105. Like, you're changing people's lives and making them better. Of course, this is like so awesome. Like, this is even more. But I mean, when you have somebody that walks into your box that can't squat below parallel, and you get them to squat below parallel, like, huge. You've made their life easier forever.
Well, and you guys should be happy to know, like, I've let my wife take over a lot of the business stuff because I'm just not good at it.
Yeah, I was gonna say things looks better.
Cleaner.
Yeah, it's cleaner.
I want to bring something up though before we wrap. We got a couple more minutes.
Yeah.
So, you said you're working with Cassidy this weekend.
Yeah.
And that's cool. Cassidy's awesome. Recently on the podcast, but before we kicked off, you said you have the nutrition lecture.
Yeah.
This is the first one.
Yeah.
For the level 1.
Level 1.
So, tell the listeners what that's like, because this is cool. Because it's like this weekend. Like, Fern and I can talk about it, but we're talking in the past. Like, you're in the heat of it. Like, people don't realize. Like, you get your lectures. There's an order of lectures: press, deadlift, squat, etc. But every time you get a new one, like, there's some stress associated with it.
Because it's a new, like, all the other ones I've given like so many times, and
right.
You find your own pace, but like you get an email or message from
who's emailing these days? Is it still Boz?
No, it's who did I just get it from?
Joe?
Nadia.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Nadia.
So it looks something like, hey Kevin, can you be prepared to give the nutrition lecture this weekend?
And so you get that email and you're like, your answer is yes.
Yeah, there's no. Has anybody responded no? Like
it's really nice of them to, it's really nice of them to ask.
When it was Boz, I would joke a little bit, like, I'm not quite ready, but yes. But like, not here, you can't joke with.
There's no there, and so you just have to be prepared for it. And so then you have to, like, you've seen the lecture, you've listened to it a bunch of times. Like, I'm just over 100 seminars, I think.
Okay.
And so, like, I've listened to that nutrition lecture a lot. But now I have to.
It's also evolved a little bit over the years. That one especially.
Yeah, and so now I have to give it. So now you're like sitting there, like, going over whiteboards that you've seen and like taking out the important information.
Can you send me your sickness, wellness, fitness continuum so I can look at it?
Yeah. Like I have
shout out to Kabo. She's always got the best whiteboards, right?
Oh, I always text Becky Hart.
Becky's really good too. Yeah.
So I always text Becky. Becky, can I have your whiteboard?
She's got a great binder
folder. Like, laminated. Like, she is organized.
Whenever we work together, I'm always like, Becky, I need the folder.
I will never say this in her presence, but Becky is awesome.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah. But like, she always helps me out and sends me whiteboards. A couple other that help me out with it. But it's not. I wouldn't say it's nerve-wracking because you know the information. But then you, like, start to second guess yourself on knowing the information. Like, there's nothing new here.
Well,
and then you have to, like,
you know the guidance we're going to give you, right?
Don't fuck it up.
Don't fuck it up.
So my biggest feedback when I first started giving lectures is that I was very robotic because I just memorized the information and present the information. And
that's what you should get.
I think that's like the first one is like that, and then by 2, 3, 4, 5, you kind of put your own flavor and spin to it.
Well, like, nutrition is something I studied for very many years, so I'm very well versed in the nutritional sciences.
That one's tough because it's easy to divert.
And you're gonna get a ton of questions.
And that's gonna be kind of my biggest fear about giving the nutrition lecture is not missing something, but going over timeline or like adding too much in.
Most questions are in the nutrition lecture. You can point to: are you eating meats, vegetables, nuts, seeds, some fruit, little starch, no sugar? Okay. Are you keeping intake levels to the appropriate? Right. Mm-hmm. Like, most people want to ask, they want shortcut to success when it's like, nope, these are the two things.
Oh, I'm not going to throw this person underneath the bus, but I remember my very first nutrition lecture back in March of 2008.
You were hearing it
at my very first level 1.
Who was it? Come on, throw this person under.
Nope. I think you guys are going to be able to guess from the story.
I bet you I can.
And he's going over, like, back then, going over the zone, talking about blah, blah, blah. And, like, you know, back when we talked about, like, the cheeseburger from McDonald's being perfectly zoned. He's going through this whole thing, and this guy wearing, like, Vibram 5 fingers back then raises his hand to ask a question and goes, hey, you know, what if I want to do the zone, but I'm vegan? How do I make that work? And the guy's response was, and I can't say all the words in this. There's multiple F words, not all the same F word. But he goes, you're vegan? Eat a fucking steak and stop being such a...
Foodie.
Foodie.
We'll say foodie.
We don't want to. This will actually get us canceled.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit.
This was better. At a level 1.
Yeah.
Gotten
and
better.
that just shows that
We've gotten better.
2008. Is it the same person we were talking about earlier?
No, not even close.
I think I know who it is. Anyway.
We'll talk off.
We'll
not
talk
going
about
to but yeah.
Hey, say it out loud, Nate will edit it out. Who was it?
No, we'll talk about it afterwards. I'm not going to do that to him.
Smart man.
He's a nice
Smart
guy.
man.
He's a nice guy that could kill me very easily.
Well, speaking of cheeseburgers, Fern, it's lunchtime.
It is lunchtime.
But we want to go to Chick-fil-A, eh?
Hey? Are you Canadian now?
Canadian a little bit.
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A's good.
We're close.
We're right around the corner.
Closer to Canada.
But let's do a few recaps. For real, we want to work with you and help push this because we realize the importance of it. Not tomorrow, but Kevin will maybe in the future start having people out here. I think that's just a great way to grow the community.
Definitely not tomorrow. We'll give you a day.
Mikey and Sean, you need to chill out for a moment. Kevin's got it. Kevin's got this shit, Mikey.
We're working on it, guys. I love you. Keep blasting everything.
It's just
I love
exercise.
it. Just understand that we got it.
And you're lucky I got 3 inches on you because I'd be smoking your ass at the games anyway in that short stature division. Yeah, definitely not. Did I tell the story?
No more stories. Yeah. So don't ever let him do the smelling salts thing again.
Can I have that, by the way?
Yeah.
No. For Fern's sake, no.
Yeah, please God. Yeah, dude. I think what you guys are doing is super cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what so there are going to be adaptive workouts in the open this year, right?
Yes.
Okay, but we don't know what those are yet.
Nope.
Well, you won't. Do you literally get them the same time we do, and then have to adapt them?
No.
You're getting them in advance now.
We'll get them before that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how much has Dave not being involved changed things for you?
I don't know yet.
You've not. Nothing's happened between that. No. So nothing's happened yet for the open, but it's weeks away.
Not on the adaptive side. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, and it may have started. Alec is the main focal point, so they may have. I know they've contact with them. They have all of our stuff on the back end set up and ready to go.
Nobody's really going to notice.
Nobody's going to notice. But I was just wondering if it has had.
They're going to say they do, but
right. But realistically,
I think I saw an article like Bosman's kind of leading the charge on this kind of stuff this year.
That's a natural. That's the obvious choice, I would think.
But we'll get the workouts, we'll adapt them. They'll be good to go. If you're an adaptive athlete and you're watching this or listening, please go over the adaptive athlete handbook and make sure that you're classifying yourself in the right division because you may not be, and we don't want to have to kick you into a different division or change your workout or basically give you a 0 for a week.
Yeah.
So read through the adaptive athlete policy. It'll be great. It's gonna be fun, man. Making Make Quads Great Again. John from that podcast is doing a really cool thing where he's getting the community for those of us who aren't going to the games for the adaptive.
I saw that
adaptive because we have a semifinals to finish it and crown winners. He's doing this big thing where he's trying to raise $75,000 so he can pay out the same payout for the people that are going to the games
for the divisions that aren't represented.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So. Anyone that's listening, go check that out. That's really cool and really nice. It wasn't anything that he had to do. It's not something that is really even probably beneficial to him. It's just something he thought he should do. And so, that's a sign of great character to me.
Yeah, John's a good dude. And speaking of his podcast partner, Ben, that's where we're going next over at WOD Prep for Clang. They have that Clang and Bang podcast, I think it's called, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Kevin, good luck this weekend.
Yeah, dude.
With the nutrition lecture. Yeah. Remember Fern's advice.
Don't fuck it up.
That's my favorite advice.
It's the only advice you'll ever need.
No.
And this was super.
This has been fun, man.
Awesome.
And for those of you who haven't checked out Adaptive Training Academy, go check it out. And then Kevin's got some cool stuff. And
check out skull-smash.com.
Everybody, stay away from the smelling salts. You sound like a bumbling idiot.
If you want to have no attention span,
yeah,
this is the way to go.
Smash.com.
Yeah, if you guys that listen think I was chasing squirrels most days, my head's still not right.
It's the good stuff, man.
Thanks for checking out this episode of the Best Hour of Their Day podcast. We appreciate you listening and choosing to have us help you in your passion for coaching and affiliate ownership. You can find more episodes just like this on all podcast platforms. If you're interested in learning more, you can reach out to us on any social media platforms, or you can visit www.besthouroftheirday.com to book a call. If you found this episode helpful for you, please share it so that we can help other coaches and affiliate owners to help build a bigger and stronger CrossFit community. Thanks for listening.